Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for taking a little bit of time out of your day, checking the day's video out. And I need to change the channel name to Late Nights with Randy Blockett or something, because man, by the time I have time to do these videos, it's like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. And so got one for you guys today. I actually got a request yesterday from one of the members on my channel that they suggested they want me to talk about fishing logs. And, you know, do they help you catch fish? You know, are they valuable to have? You know, have a little discussion on that. So I'm going to give you guys my opinion on fishing logs, if you need one or not. And hey, before we get started, just wanted to actually ask you guys a favor out of everybody out there. If you guys saw my video yesterday, I did basically a video on what I think the top 5 YouTube channels are for bass fishing. And one of the ones I listed was William Henry Outdoors. And I've never met William before. He lives, I think, pretty close to where I live, somewhere in Springfield. He's got a YouTube channel. He's like 10 or 12 years old. He shoots his own YouTube videos. He's an unbelievable angler. He's just like, he knows so much about fishing. And, you know, he catches a fish. He talks about the details surrounding the catch, you know, with sort of on an expert level. You know, it's unbelievable for a kid his age to not only know that much about fishing, but to be able to shoot a YouTube video on it. And so he was one of my top 5. Check the channel out, William Henry Outdoors, super entertaining. But one of the things I wanted to ask you guys is, after we did that video yesterday, he had like 200 subscribers, and he right now he's got over 400 just in a day since I did that video. So I just wanted to ask everybody, let's help William Henry hit 1,000 subscribers, because once you do that with YouTube, YouTube starts paying you every month to run ads on your videos. That's how people get paid on YouTube, is, you know, they put the ads on there. They keep like 45% of the ad revenue, and they give you the rest of it. So if we can help William get to 1,000 subscribers, then maybe that'll give him a chance to buy some new rod and reels or something like that. I'll include a link to his channel in the description here. And if you guys could subscribe to his channel, I think that'd be pretty cool, getting him up to 1,000 now. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this whole fishing log deal. First of all, right off the bat, I've never had a fishing log. I've never taken the time to put one together. There was a lot of years in my career, especially the first 10 or 15 years of my career, where I really felt that I was sort of missing out, not having a log. But by the time I started feeling like that, I said to myself, well, man, you've done it for so many years without a log. It's not going to help you that much now, because, you know, you can, you know, so much time's gone by. And I've sort of got a photogenic memory when it comes to fishing. I may not be able to remember anything else, but I can tell you where I caught a fish at 30 years ago with the bait and everything. So from that standpoint, I never really felt that I needed one that much. But other anglers, I know that, for example, Rick Clunn, I don't know if he still does, but he used to keep detailed notes as far as in a fishing log, details behind the tournaments, you know, conditions surrounding each catch. I know guys out there that they've kept fishing logs in such detail that they will actually log every fish they catch and put the conditions around that catch, you know. And there's a lot of guys out there that take it to the extremes. But the question is, does it help you to have a fishing log? You know, is it valuable? My answer to that is, in the year 2021, it is not that big of a deal. It's not that valuable to have a fishing log. 30 years ago, possibly. That was before the advent of social media, all the information overload we have on the internet. You know, you can literally on YouTube, you can Google or search anything that you want to know about bass fishing, seasonal patterns, you know, how things were 5 years ago versus they are now, and you can find it. So from that standpoint, you can access information, you know, that we didn't have 30 years ago. So I think there's probably would have been a place for it in the past, but now I'm not so sure. And even back then, I didn't really think it was that big deal. And I sort of want to explain that to you a little bit. First of all, out of all the years I've been fishing, I have never seen a season be the same as a past season. It's like one of the things we try to do in bass fishing is we always try to use our experience to go back on past experiences to try to help us in the time we're on the water now. And we always feel it's like, okay, you know, it's first week of June, they're going to be on these secondary points hitting a deep diving crankbait, you know, a real generic sense like that. And yeah, that can be a good foundation to build upon, but in reality, it's very rare that the same places produce year after year after year. I know, for example, on a lot of the deep places I have on Grand Lake, the places that I used to rip them on 25 years ago, I can't even get a bite on them now. So they're not applicable year after year. And there's a couple different reasons for that. First of all, the environmental conditions are always different. The weather conditions and the weather patterns are always different. Bass relate to certain areas, certain techniques, certain, you know, water columns based upon weather patterns for a large degree, which is a combination of your lake level, your water clarity, your water temperature, conditions, you know, leading up to the time you're going on the water. There's a lot of different factors to that. So that combination of things together is never the same. It is never the same. I don't care, you know, how close it can be. It's just not. So from that standpoint, the bass are always doing something. Say, for example, let's go back to that. If you're cranking secondary points the first week of July with deep diving crankbaits, one of the reasons you may have caught them 3 years ago doing that, maybe a school of shad was swimming across the end of that point when you pulled up on it and caught 20 pounds. And this time when you go past it, there's no shad on it, you don't get a bite. That's the things that you can't really duplicate in a fishing log. You know, if you chronologicalize that information, it's not applicable every single year. Another reason, you know, aside from like the bass movement behaviors and the weather patterns, has to do with the lakes themselves. Lakes are constantly changing, they're constantly evolving, they're constantly dying. You know, a lake, from the time it's impounded, it begins to die. I mean, eutrophication sets in, sedimentation, a lot of different factors. Cover dies out, cover rots away. Prime example is Table Rock Lake, my home lake here. You know, 50 years ago when I first started, you know, going to Table Rock Lake, if you went into any creek arm on the lake or cove, you could barely fit a boat through there. There was so much standing timber that you could hardly make your way through it. It gradually started dying out. When I was in high school fishing the lake, there was still quite a bit of timber, but it wasn't like it was back in the 60s. And now, 50 years later, if you go to Table Rock and some of those creek arms, like for example Mill Creek at Table Rock Lake, that used to be wall-to-wall timber, you may see 1 or 2 little trees sticking up in the whole creek. Everything else is rotted out. So the habitat and the environment is constantly changing, constantly evolving in a lake. And when you have that lake evolving in different ways, that is constantly changing your patterns and the fish movements year to year. The bass are simply using different parts of the lake as that lake evolves. And therefore, when getting back to the logs, that's, to me, in my opinion, is why the logs are not very effective. Because in essence, if you rely on those logs exclusively, they're going to be a big limitation to you, because you're simply not going to fish the moment, as Johnny Schultz says. And that's the whole key in bass fishing. You have got to fish, and you've got to assimilate information the time that you're on the lake, and that changes day to day. It changes even hour to hour on a lake. And from that standpoint, I really think a log is a big limitation. So back to the question, you know, is a log a good idea to have? Should you have it? Will it help you catch more fish? I don't think it's a big deal. I think sometimes it can hurt you more than help you. I think it's interesting. I think it's fun. You probably can go back 20 years ago and look at the details that a lot of people don't remember. But is that going to help you catch more bass? Yeah, it might help you catch a bass once in a while that you wouldn't have caught normally. But in the big picture of the thing, I think there's an equalizing factor as far as it can hurt you and help you based upon, you know, a lot of different, you know, things that are going on in the lake. So that's sort of my 2 cents on it. I don't think, if you don't have a log, don't feel like you're missing out. I've never had one ever. I don't think, it's almost like sort of a a bygone era. It's sort of like something out of the past more. You just don't see anglers doing it like they used to. So I think it sort of went that way of, you know, sort of history of the sport goes. So anyway, that's my 2 cents there, guys. Appreciate y'all tuning into the channel, much appreciated. And if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, I'd like to invite you to do that. We've still got over 50% of you dudes out there watching these videos and not subscribing to the channel. So how about showing a little bit of love to myself and the family and hitting that subscribe button. So we'll be back soon. Talk to you later.